Welcome back to Midas Letter Live. My guest in this segment is Darren Bondar, President and CEO of Spirit Holdings Ltd, trading on the CSE under the symbol ISH. Darren, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Darren, tell me about Spirit Holdings Ltd. What is your main business and how are you going to differentiate yourself in this increasingly crowded cannabis landscape?
Yeah. Well, Spirit Holdings is our holding company, and our ultimate business is in retail and franchising. We've developed this really cool cannabis dispensary brand called Spirit Leaf. So we'll be opening up retail stores across the country, both corporate stores and franchise stores, which I think is pretty unique to the market into itself.
Okay, so it's a franchise strategy within the cannabis retail space.
That's correct, yeah.
So what has to happen for you to be able to sell cannabis in retail locations that are not necessarily affiliated with the provincial stores?
Look, we're based in Western Canada, so we've had a really great playground in Alberta in particular, where our head office is in Calgary. So Alberta, we've granted about 80 franchise locations, and we'll hopefully have about 35 to 40 open in Q4 here as the province and municipalities continue to grant licenses and development permits.
Sure. So Alberta's got a great history of private enterprise in the recreational substances business.
Yes.
I happen to have fond memories of Alberta bottle shops where you can get great scotches and everything. So then, is it your intention then to avoid being a grower of any sort and just to source product from different people and brand it and package it yourself?
Yeah, for sure. We're not an LP. We have a low capex strategy, so that goes everything from the retail front, where our franchise partners will be opening stores and paying for the costs of build outs, and then we'll be sourcing sourcing products from LPs. And we've got some great strategic partnerships already in place with Auxly and Newstrike as part of that.
Oh, okay. So tell me, how does the deal with Newstrike work?
Yeah, so Newstrike, well, obviously everybody knows their collaboration with Tragically Hip and their brand being Up Cannabis. So we've done this great cross investment where 20% of our stores will be allocated to Up Cannabis lounges. So we'll be, showcasing Up Cannabis, comfortable place for customers to come and sit while they're waiting to be served, and a whole education piece there. So education on the Tragically Hip and the history of Canadian music, and also a really cool charitable aspect to that. We've made a contribution to the Gord Downey Cheney Wenjack Fund. So it's all about Indigenous reconciliation. We'll be providing education in our stores about the importance of Indigenous reconciliation, and designated a boardroom at our head office to to allow people to use and educate.
Very interesting. When do you expect your store? Well, I guess your stores start opening October 17th.
Yeah, we should have a handful open October 17th. We've got a number under construction. They've already been granted permits, and we'll continue to build out from there.
So this is, from all accounts, the first franchise model in the cannabis space.
Yeah.
And so if I wanted to become a franchisee, how would I go about that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So look, the first kind of thing we did was we became a member of the Canadian Franchise Association, which is kind of the governing and overseeing body of franchises in Canada. So we were honored to be accepted. We're still the only cannabis member. So that gives us a lot of reputability and also holds us to a really high standard. To become a franchisee, you'd apply through our website, and we'd have an introductory phone call. You would fill out an application, and we'd go through a disclosure process, and then help you with all elements to set up your business, from filling out applications to securing real estate to HR, design, merchandising, and everything you need to know to be a successful retailer.
Sure. So I'm assuming then that the franchise locations are going to be limited to recreational marijuana only.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, or purely a recreational cannabis play.
And so will each franchise owner have to become licensed by the provincial regulator?
Yeah, so every individual owner obviously has to get their own license. We assist with that process, and then us as a corporation also need to have a parent license. So in Alberta and BC, that is now open, and we're working through the due diligence process there. And I imagine Ontario's not too far behind.
Sure. So in the U.S., I mean, the franchise model I think of that is not necessarily a franchise model is MedMen, who's essentially trying to, you know, create this impression of Apple stores in every major city and top locations, and to be a sort of superstore of cannabis products and knowledge and everything.
Yeah.
To what extent would you say that you emulate and also differentiate from the MedMen kind of model?
Yeah, well look, we're different. We're Spirit Leaf, and we have a different philosophy a little bit around retail and branding.
Plus your shareholders can probably vote.
Yes, our shareholders can vote as well. So yeah, we're a completely different retail concept. We're really focused on the Canadian market. That's where our roots are. We know what Canadians like. We know how to retail. We know how to be effective franchisors. That's, you know, been my experience for the last 20 years. So yeah, I think we'll do really well. In the U.S., it's pretty challenging, as you know, franchising has got some federal regulations. So it's something that you really can't implement down there.
Right. Do you think that the laws are going to sort of become more uniform across Canada as they roll out, or do you think that they're going to become even more different province to province?
Yeah, I think they're going to continue to be different, province to province, and then municipality to municipality. It's a challenging national landscape to navigate, but that's kind of the advantage of the franchise model. You know, we got franchise partners working with local municipalities in Cold Lake or Lethbridge, you know, smaller towns where a big corporation just, you know, can't get to. Right. So yeah, so you learn the landscape and navigate the waters.
So I guess Newstrike's going to provide you with a lot of your starting product.
Yeah, again, we have to buy through to all the provincial agencies,
Right.
But yeah, we look forward to carrying Up Cannabis product in our stores, and yeah, it's going to be great product, and everybody's going to be pretty interested to try it.
Yeah, fantastic. Do you have any plan at any point potentially to become a grower of your own product?
Well, look, we actually have our own proprietary brands that we've developed from, you know, from a marketing and branding standpoint. So a brand called Ruby, which is really focused on the female consumer. We have a brand called Stone Selects, and a craft brand called Prairie Flower, which is, you know, grown in Alberta. Kind of in line with our low capex strategy and our partnership with Auxly as an example. They're providing us the inputs, so we're working on strain selection from the various licensed producers that Auxly's partnered with. And you know, that product will come into us without us having to build our own facility. So there are factories, if you will, and we've got a really close collaboration with Auxly to make that happen.
Sure. I'm curious, what do you think will happen if, let's say, October 17th rolls around, and let's say everybody abandons their friendly neighborhood dispensary and decides to all start buying off of the incumbent suppliers, and they don't have enough cannabis on day one. What will you be forced to do to acquire cannabis? Yeah,
well, look, everybody's going to have an equal chance, particularly in Alberta, to buy an equal amount. So if there's only 100,000 kilos available and there's demand for 200, everybody will get pro rata. I don't foresee a cannabis shortage. I think it's going to take guys a long time to get their stores built and open, and I think the availability of supply will catch up to that and maintain that pretty quickly.
Okay, interesting. How did you come up with this idea, and what made you decide to sort of pursue this franchise angle?
Yeah, well, look, I started my first business 20 years ago, which is a watch company that still exists today called Watch It, and we had great success in the retail front and expanded nationally using a franchise system. So yeah, we kind of took that model and took our existing infrastructure, saw the opportunity. I've been a long-time cannabis advocate and a you know, medical patient. You know, and amongst my close network, it became pretty apparent that if somebody was going to open a chain of retail stores across Canada, that it probably should be me. So yeah, we saw the opportunity and took some early risks, and yeah, here we are today.
Sure, there's been a sort of propensity to open coffee shops and sort of set those out as potential places to learn about cannabis until the rules change and they can sell cannabis-infused coffee.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would consider pursuing as well, or is that just outside of where you're going?
Yeah, you know, we might open a couple of lifestyle stores, but for the most part, we've been really disciplined and waiting for the locations to get their permits before we open. So yeah, I think that strategy might work for some, but and as again, we might open some lifestyle stores, just especially in Ontario, so people can get familiar with our brand. But soon enough, you know, in 30 to 40 days, we'll have actual cannabis dispensaries open in Alberta and Saskatchewan, and BC's not too far behind.
Yeah, well, it's exciting times.
Yes, it is.
Darren, that's a great introduction to the company. We'll leave it there for now. We'll come back to you in a quarter's time, see how you're doing. Thanks very much for joining me today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.